Hey guys, welcome back. This is Stacking Pennies Spare Change Edition. And we teased you guys on Tuesday about Chase Briscoe going to the 19. Holy moly. He's still here with us in the Nonsense Garage. We're going to get right into how the Lord opened that door. He closed one door and opened another. We didn't want to give you the full story on Tuesday, but we can give you the full story now because that news has now dropped. And let me tell you personally, buddy, I am pumped for you. And I know you're going to thrive, and I know you're going to be successful, and you deserve it. So I wanted to lead with that. First off, how's it feel?
It feels good. I'm not going to lie. There is some pressure involved. If I don't go winning this deal, I'm probably done forever. So, yeah, I'm excited, though. It's going to be honestly interesting just to see how another place works. You know, all I've kind of known in the past is Stewart-Haas. So it'll be interesting to kind of see just behind the scenes how it goes. And, you know, we've kind of talked about it, like the faults of Stewart-Haas, sounds like that they don't have those same type faults at JGR. So it's going to be exciting just to see kind of how this place operates, and it'll be fun to have new teammates and get to learn them. And obviously it's a great opportunity. It's an incredible opportunity. So hopefully can go there and thrive in it. Man,
you're going from one side of the spectrum in terms of inexperienced guys in a certain stage of their career with essentially 3 rookies, not very many wins at Stewart-Haas, going to now one of the top 5 drivers, right, in Denny Hamlin, Christopher Bell, we've talked about in the previous episode, and Ty Gibbs, right? Those are 3 guys that are in contention to win every week. Are you nervous a little bit? Are you excited? What sort of is all of it?
Yeah, all of it. You know, I feel like that. Yeah, I'm excited. Like I said, I am a little nervous. Just that it is something new. New guys, new processes, new kind of everything from that standpoint, and just trying to figure out how I play into that. Even from a leadership standpoint and what I can bring to the team. Yeah, where I'm at Stewart-Haas is going to be totally different than where I'm at JGR. So it that part is just I don't know what to expect until I start doing it. So yeah, I'm excited though. Me and Christopher, I've known Christopher since I was probably 12 years old. I mean, used to live with him, talked every single day, and then as we kind of started coming through the NASCAR ranks, we still stayed good friends, but we weren't near as close as we used to be. So it's going to be fun for me, I think, just to get to work with Christopher, and we're a lot alike. Our backgrounds are identical, and that's something that I've never had in a teammate, somebody that has the exact same background as me. So I feel like me and him will be able to feed off each other a lot. And then Denny obviously is a first ballot Hall of Famer, right? So to be able to learn off somebody like that, and then even Ty is just a incredible race car driver. Yeah, he just elbows up, he can literally make speed anywhere he goes, and his background is totally different than really anybody I've worked with either. From the go-kart stuff and just the late model and just how he's kind of driven a little bit of everything. So yeah, just his outlook even on things with how young he is and stuff. It's going to be fun to kind of get in there and to see kind of how I fill that role, I guess, of being a teammate with those guys and just seeing what I can bring to them and what they can bring to me.
So we talked about at Gateway, right? I think that was the week that the SHR news dropped, right? And there was some things in your contract that didn't allow you to talk to teams, even though you knew the news or it looked bleak to begin with, right? So we talked on Sunday morning of the race, and you were like, I don't know what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
And over the course of the next 36 hours, give or take a couple of days, the trajectory of your racing career, but also your life changed.
Yeah, 100%.
So from that week at Gateway, when the only place that you've known in terms of your NASCAR driving career announces it's shutting the door, now you have to go find a seat. You don't have an agent. You don't have a manager. And now it's just making phone calls. But lead listeners through that, how that all came to fruition.
Yeah, so I want to say it was on Tuesday, I think, is when SHR told us they were shutting down. So literally, Tony, at the end of him telling all the drivers kind of where everything was going, he said, "Did any of you guys have any questions?" And I said, "Yeah, what's this mean for us as far as talking to other people?" And he said, "You guys are free to do whatever you want. You can talk to whoever." And he literally got done. I pulled my phone out, and I had literally just texted every single person that I knew that was in management at any place. And I said, "Hey, just to let you know,
need a job."
I said, Stewart-Haas just let us know that they're shutting down at the end of the year, and I'm free to talk to whoever. So if you guys have any interest in me, I would love to sit down and just have the opportunity to talk to you guys." So I sent that to, literally every person in a team that I knew, right?
Yeah.
And had a couple people reach back out, and Wednesday I went to the pool with my wife and son, and
At the house?
no, we went to like a community pool, and Dave Alpern texted me. He said, "Hey Chase, who's president of JGR, he said, do you have a couple minutes for a phone call?" I'm like, "Yeah, absolutely."
Yeah.
So I didn't know what.
Take my floaties off right quick. Answer the phone.
So I didn't know, what it was going to be about, and it's funny how kind of God works out, right? Like,
did you text Alpern to begin with?
Yeah, he was one of the people that I had texted. So Tuesday afternoon, we were supposed to fly to Indiana, and we were going to go to Indiana because I was racing the midget in Illinois Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So we were going to go up there, hang out, and see my grandparents. And last minute, Marissa's like, "I don't really feel that great. I don't know if I want to fly up there." So I said, "It's fine. We'll cancel." So I wasn't even supposed to be home during these days that everything happened. So Wednesday, Dave calls me and says, "Hey, what are you doing tomorrow?" And I said, "Well, I'm flying to St. Louis. I'm running a dirt race. But, yeah, I can probably do whatever." Why? He said, "Well, we'd love to just get to know you a little bit. We don't really know much about you. Could me and a couple of the JGR guys just meet you for breakfast?" So I went and met them for breakfast Thursday morning. And
what'd you order?
I had French toast. I had like maybe 2 bites because we were talking the whole time. It was like super rushed because I had to get to the airport at Charlotte. So it was maybe an hour, and thought it went okay. I didn't know really what they were looking for or anything, and they just kind of asked me, how my preparation is, and what I think my best tracks are and worst tracks, and what I can bring to a team and stuff like that. And so then I didn't hear anything from them on Friday, and then Saturday morning, at like 9 or something in the morning, I had a text message, and it said, "Hey, give me a call when you can, Joe." And I didn't have the number saved. I had no idea who it was. And I'm like, this ain't Joe Gibbs. Like, there ain't no way. So
it's like my pool guy or something. That's like
So I took a screenshot of it, and I sent it to Christopher, and I said, "Does this number, like, do you have this number?" And he texted me back, and it was like Joe Gibbs's contact page, and it was that number. And he said, "You're in." I was like,
"Oh."
I said, "Oh, okay." So I called Joe. And
do you start getting like excited at this point, or you're just like,
no? I still didn't really know what to expect.
Yeah,
like I didn't. Yeah, I mean,
it's
all
just
I had was a
pleasantries.
breakfast. Like it wasn't like there was really nothing to it other than it was just breakfast, and they got to know me. And
these guys also, and correct me if I'm wrong, weren't the only dogs in the hunt.
Yeah. So I was supposed to meet with Wood Brothers that same Thursday. I went to breakfast. And it got pushed to Monday because I think Tim had something going on, Tim Cindric. And so it got pushed to the following Monday. So Joe, I call him, and going back, the only reason I even texted Alpern in the first place was Bell had texted me like a week before. And he said, "Hey, I don't know, what's going on at SHR, but he said, I think Martin's going to be done. Like, you need to put your name in the hat." So it's funny how Christopher has helped me in my career now twice.
Hey, shout out Seabell.
Yeah,
thanks, dog.
Seabell's really helped me out.
Yeah.
So then I talked to Joe. It was just a super quick phone call. I mean, it was literally less than 4 or 5 minutes. He just said, "Hey, I'm going to be at the track tomorrow. Would love to somehow get you to the bus." And he said, "I don't really know you, and I don't know if you really know me. Would love to sit down for 20, 30 minutes, just get to know each other." So Sunday after chapel, went to chapel, and Joe grabbed me and said, "Hey, just come to the bus right after." So I went over there, and we sat down for 20, 25 minutes. And Joe was like, "Hey, we just talked, and he got to know me, and I got to know him." And at the end of it, he said, "We don't know what's going on with Martin. We talked to him, and we're still trying to figure that out, but we should have answers in a couple days, and we'll just keep you in touch. We don't really know what direction we're going to go yet." Well, then I landed Sunday night after the Cup race, and I told Joe that I was obviously meeting with the Wood Brothers because he'd asked me if there was anybody else that I was kind of talking to, and Sunday night he calls me and he says, "Hey, what are you doing in the morning? I need you to keep your morning free." I said, "Not really anything. I got to meet the Wood Brothers at 3 o'clock, but other than that, I can be free." He said, "Okay." He said, "I want you to be at the shop at 9 a.m. He said, "I want you to sit down with our contract guy and just kind of tell him what you'd like to have." I'm like, "Well, I didn't know that the meeting went that well.
Not prepared for this."
Yeah, so I was driving to the shop, And I get 5 minutes away, and their contract guy calls me and says, "Hey, I was just thinking maybe we need to go to the hangar. Like, we probably don't need you to be at the shop." So then we met at the hangar, and we were there for
Concord?
Yeah, Concord. Yeah, and we were there for, 4 or 5 hours. And we kind of go through everything, and he's like, obviously, we don't know what Martin's going to do yet, but we want to have a plan in place, and we want to move really fast on this if anything happens. Well, then Joe shows up just randomly. And Joe's like, "Hey, I want you to know how bad I want you to be at our place. Like, we think you're an amazing fit. We looked at your Xfinity stats and, what you've been able to do in the Cup car, and we just really think you would be a great fit for our place. And, I don't know what Martin's going to do." I gave him a deadline of Wednesday at 11 a.m. And this was all on Monday. He said, "And I'm just scared to death about you going and meeting with the Wood brothers, and I don't want to lose you if Martin ends up deciding that he doesn't want to come back." He said, "So I wanted to come over here, look you in the eye, shake your hand, just tell you that if Martin's out, you're in."
Did his hand have Super Bowl?
Had the Super Bowl ring.
Yes.
On it.
Oh,
Yeah, had
man,
the
what a
Super Bowl ring
flex.
on it. And
he turns it to you like,
yeah. So that meant a lot, right? And this is even before I got to meet with the Wood brothers yet. So then Monday night I go and meet with all the Penske people, and it went really well too. I was there for probably 3.5 hours. And Joe is like, "I want you to let me know how the Wood brothers deal goes." He's like, "Because I'm just really nervous about it," he said truthfully. So I went and met with the Wood brothers, or Penske first, and it went really, really good too. Had a couple questions for them just from the performance side and just kind of where they feel like that car is versus the 3 Penske cars, and thought I got a lot of really good answers from that side of things. And I just, I told him at the end, I said, "Look, like, I'm just going to let you guys know, like, there is another offer that's on the table." So that kind of sped up their process. So Tim said, "Let me call you tomorrow, and we'll try to figure out what we can do from our end." So then I called Joe after, and first thing he said, he goes, "Man, that was a long meeting. I'm nervous." He's like, "How did it go?" So I told him. So then Tuesday, Tim calls me.
This is after Gateway. This is all
within
4 days.
4 days. This all
prior
happened 4
to and
days.
after Gateway.
Yeah. So this is all 4 days. So Tuesday, Tim calls me and kind of tells me where they're at on what they could do, and said that he would like for me to meet with the Wood brothers. They were going to drive down from Virginia, and because I never really met the Wood brothers before. So he said, "We'd love for you to get to meet them and them get to know you as well. So let's plan that for Wednesday at 1 o'clock. Let's do that." So Joe calls me Tuesday night and says, "Hey, we're going to send you the contract in the next 30 minutes. Obviously it's contingent on what Martin does, but I'll have you an answer by 11 o'clock tomorrow on what Martin's going to do." So, man, that was stressful.
Were you sitting there waiting on your phone, 10:58?
Dude, it was like so stressful. Like that night.
Who were you talking to? Obviously Marissa, but is there anybody else? Your
Nobody
dad,
knew.
Like,
my dad knew very, very little.
Marissa.
Just Marissa knew what was really going on. My dad knew that I'd met with him, and I was telling him how that was going, but he didn't know like
how far it was.
He knew that it was getting wheels going, but he didn't know like how far it was. But he knew that like by 11 I was going to have a decision.
You don't have any buddies that you call like, "Hey, I got some going on. I need some advice."
No, I just
really
yeah,
kept it to yourself.
Yeah, just me and
Holy
Marissa
Spirit,
and my
bro.
dad. Yeah,
Damn.
yeah.
Dog.
So like, I told my dad and everybody Tuesday night, say some prayers. That whatever's meant to be will be. And so Wednesday, I'm supposed to go meet with the Wood brothers at 1 o'clock. And Penske Tuesday night also sent me a contract or a term sheet of what they were willing to do, and then Gibbs had sent me an actual contract. So then on Wednesday morning, I'm at the bank, and at 10:56, my phone rings, and it's Joe Gibbs. I'm like, whew, all right, let's just hope this is a good call. So,
jeez,
I picked up, and he said, "Chase."
Were you sitting down?
No, I was standing up. I was at like the teller desk. I had to get a check, and he goes, "Chase, you better not screw this up." And I said, what do you mean? He said, "You better not screw up this opportunity you're getting." He said, "I just talked to Martin. He's not coming back." He said, "You're going to be in the 19 car next year." And I was like,
that freaking fires me up, and I'm not even the one driving it.
Yeah, and I was like, holy smokes. And I
just tell the bank teller, "Hold on, I'm going to actually make a deposit real quick."
yeah.
So it was really cool. Joe said, "Where you at?" And I told him, I said, "I'm actually at the bank." I said, we're getting a pool down in the backyard, and I had to pay somebody for it. And he said, is Marissa around? I want to talk to her. So I said, yeah, she's actually in the truck. Let me go get her. So Marissa obviously knew that there was a phone call coming around 11, and I walked out, and I said, hey, somebody wants to talk to you. And right when I handed her the phone, somebody else was calling me, so she couldn't even see who it was. And she picks up, she's like, hello, and Joe goes, hey, and, talks to her and tells her that, I'm going to be in the 19 car, and she started crying, and it was just really cool how Joe did it. So Joe, this is 11-something o'clock, I said, hey, how do you want me to handle the Wood Brothers thing? Like, I don't want to just blow them off. They're driving down from Virginia, and obviously I've been talking to them too, and he says, no, you need to go meet the Wood Brothers. He's like, he said, technically we haven't signed anything. He said, I feel like you're going to come sign it, but technically you haven't done anything yet. He said, so go meet them, see how it goes. He said, obviously, like, it's still your decision at the end of the day. Like, you can do whatever you want, but he goes, I want you in this car. So I went and met with the Wood Brothers. It was really cool just getting to hear some stories from them. And
where'd you meet at?
At Cindric's shop there in Mooresville. And Tim told a story about essentially how there was a contract with Roger, and he didn't really want to go sign it because he was flying overseas the next day. And Roger was like, make sure you go sign it. Contract's only good if it's signed. And long story short, like, if he didn't sign it that night, it probably would have got canceled because 9/11 happened the next day. And this whole time he's telling the story, I'm like, I have a contract just sitting there, and he's sitting here telling me that it's only good if it's signed. And I was like, I got to get there. So I leave there, and I drove straight to Gibbs, and they snuck me in the back door and took me upstairs and had all their management there, and I signed it. And so that happened within 5 days of first time I ever spoke to him. The contract signed. It happened super, super fast, and it was honestly really, it was hard. It messed with me. I've been with Ford. I mean, without Ford, I'm never even in the position to get a contract offer from anybody. So yeah. It was really, really hard for me to, leave Ford, truthfully. Like, yeah. I've felt super, super loyal to them, and it was a super hard conversation for me to go have with them and just tell them what I was going to do. But, truthfully, I feel like if you can get in a Hendrick or a Gibbs car at any point in your career, you have to do it. Like, it's the best opportunity in the garage, and as loyal as I wanted to be, it was just an opportunity I couldn't pass up. From a performance standpoint, even what it can do for my family financially, just the security of it. If you go run good, it was impossible to say no to.
Well, congrats, and thanks for telling us all that, because that's freaking awesome.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Big changes, right?
Yeah.
Going from familiar faces, familiar places, the drive, all the coffee shops around the shop. Now you're going to the other side of town.
Yeah.
Different manufacturer, different simulator, different engineers. So what are some things that you're anticipating, and a lot of things that you might be a little bit curious of going from Ford to a different manufacturer?
Yeah, I think just, one thing is, like, even the Toyota driver center or whatever, right? Like, where the gym is.
That thing's sweet, bro.
Yeah, I've seen pictures, and, like, I mean, they have, like, all kinds of people on staff, I guess, from, like, trainers. And
you're gonna be drinking.
They're gonna have you ordering eggs and bacon, not French toast, buddy.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, and on the Ford side, like, we don't have any of that. So that's gonna be interesting just to kind of see how that is. And the simulator stuff is a huge part of what we do, right? So just seeing how their simulator drives versus how ours drives will be interesting. And then, even from a people side, like Stuart Haas, we're right at almost 300 employees. I think Gibbs has 500 and something. So, like, it's just going to be ran totally different, just the amount of people involved in things. And, yeah, I'm just excited to kind of see how it goes. And, this is the first time really in my career, too, where I've ever had a choice. Like, I've always been told, like, hey, this is where you're going to go drive next year. And so that's going to be cool. And I think one thing that really also stood out for me on the Gibbs thing that for me made a big difference is they never once asked me, what can you bring? Like, they never once said, do you have a sponsor you can bring? There was none of that. Like, ever once. They just said, we want you, and we'll figure it out. And that, for me, meant a lot just personally. Like, I didn't feel like they were just trying to get me because of what I could bring to the table. And, I mean, really, like, it's crazy how, we were talking about it, I think, on maybe the other segment. I've never in my career had to bring $1 to any team.
Yeah. And well, you haven't had one, so if you had to bring it, then you weren't going to get in
option.
it.
Yeah, exactly. And, not that with the Wood Brothers it was, a super, strict thing, like, hey, what can you bring? But it was a small conversation that they had, and not that it turned me off. It just didn't, from a confidence level standpoint, like when Joe Gibbs personally drove over to the hangar to tell me how bad he wanted me, and that guy called me 3-4 times a day and was like, I want you in this car. Like, what can we do to make it happen? Like, it just freaking, like, it was hard to say no to that.
Yeah.
Is there any part of you that's like, hey, I want to drive those Xfinity cars at least once?
Yeah, I would like to.
Yeah.
I would definitely like to. That's one thing that I'm sure we'll try to figure out. Because I love the Xfinity series. Those cars are so
Well, you
fun to
raced
drive.
against it. I mean, a Gibbs Xfinity car is like.
I want to go drive it at Loudon.
Not of Christopher's in the field.
I'm terrible at Loudon. And if I can win in that thing, I think it's extremely good. So, yeah, I would love to do some Xfinity stuff, though.
You touched on it when we first opened the show, and I see it a lot, like even in the pit crew realm. But there's a tale of two careers where you want to be the guy, you're chasing it, and then you get the call and you are the guy. And you said, there's a lot of pressure. And I wonder, when you get a ride like this that is a championship caliber car, how much of your personal emotions are nervousness versus excitement?
Yeah, I think a little bit of both. Like, I believe in myself. Like, I fully think I can go win races and win a championship. But, when the last 3-4 years have went like they have, like, you do start, I think every athlete kind of has that, right? Like, you're like, man, like, is it me or is it just the situation I'm in, right? Like, it's just natural. Like, you go through waves, right? So I think, yeah, I mean, I'd be lying if I said I wasn't a little bit nervous, just due to the fact that if I don't go win, like, I'm for sure, in my opinion, I'm done. It's no different than the Xfinity deal when I said I had to win 8 to 10 races. Like,
And then you won 10.
Yeah, like, I have to. Like, if I don't win in this, then no other team owner is ever going to say, hey, that's the guy that we need to go get, right? But if I do go perform, then there's really no need for me to ever go anywhere else, right? Like, there's no reason for them to get rid of me if I can go perform and show my worth. So, yeah, I think that there is a little bit of nervousness, especially just with the new people side and the new process side and just trying to figure out how that works. But that's the one big thing I would say is that, when I went and sat with that contract guy Monday, he was like, what? He goes, I want to know what's the most important to you. And the first thing I said is I want at least 2 years just because of the processes and I don't know what's going to be different. And he goes, yeah, Coach already said, like, you need at least 2 years to be able to figure it all out. So, I think they understand that it's probably going to be a little bit of a learning curve just at the very beginning. But at the same time, I've ran the Cup Series for 4 years. Like, I know how the Cup Series works and how to race in it. Yeah. But just learning the team side of it, it makes me a little nervous just because it is going to be new. But I'm confident that, they're successful for a reason, right? Like, it's going to be pretty plug and play.
Well, and also that pressure you're feeling is a privilege, right? Because you've earned it, and it is a large opportunity that only so many people get the chance to do.
Yeah.
And you're one of those guys.
Yeah.
And I do think you're going to be successful. I don't have any doubt about that because everything you've driven, even in the lull of SHR, Kevin Harvick is a top 6 NASCAR driver of all time, and he went more or less winless in a next-gen car there, right?
Yeah.
And you're the only other guy over there that can get that thing in victory lane. So,
a guy who's had a tale of 2 careers is the guy who you're filling in for, right?
Yeah.
Martin, the first half of his career was pretty dismal. Like, super average at best. And then he gets in the right situation around the right people. And
that's just something that I think that I've been truthfully kind of excited about is, like, like you read social media, right? Like everybody does. And, like, I see people are like, man, like, I'm just like, man, like, I really feel I like reading it.
Do it.
Like, it motivates me. Like, I love reading that stuff.
Then you also go out and run second, though. So
Hey.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like I like pressure, and when I read stuff like that, like, I kind of enjoy it because I'm like, I want to go prove you wrong, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like that my career now going to the 19 could be very similar to Martin's. Like, people didn't really think Martin was this crazy great race car driver. Like, he was good, but he had 2 wins to his name, and now he's at almost 40.
A dog.
Right? Yeah, like, he's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
So he's not a man of many words, as everybody has been well documented.
Yeah.
Have you talked to him at all?
I haven't talked to Martin. No, Martin's probably the only Cup driver in the field I don't think I've ever talked to.
Not one word.
I've talked to him one time. I said,
like a hey.
It was a couple of years ago. He ran a midget at Indianapolis, like testing it. And I just walked up to him. I was like, "What'd you think of the midget?" And I've asked him that. And then
What did
I
he
rode on
say?
the truck.
Good.
He was like, "I liked it. It was fun." And I talked to him one time on the ride around truck. I talked to him about fishing. But yeah, like Martin, I have like
That was it.
it's probably the one guy I don't.
That's
really
so
talk
crazy
to.
because I figured he'd call you and be like, "Hey, man,
No.
Well,
good luck."
I'm gonna talk to him. especially before the season ends or like in the off season, just because I mean it's going to be all his guys, right? So I need to figure out kind of the process and how they work. But
what buttons not to press?
Yeah,
with
like
certain guys.
Yeah, and I feel like Martin and me are pretty different in a lot of ways. Like, just he gets pretty wound up on the radio sometimes, and I'm like the most boring guy to listen to on the radio. I don't really ever say anything or get worked up. So there'd be some
unless James Smalls puts scuffs on your car and doesn't tell you, like MTJ was at Richmond. Man, well, all right. So we've got the kind of pleasantries in the story about it all came to fruition, out of the way. Then. Right, we're all going to show up to Daytona here in February, and the rubber's going to hit the road.
Yeah.
Right. So, what would be what you would consider a successful first year in the 19?
Yeah, I think I need a win for sure. That was one thing that when they were kind of going through the contract stuff, they were like, "Look, this is what our cars average. They average, I think it was 1.9 wins a year as a company, like per car, and it was like 9 top 5s. So, I mean, I need to be at least one win. I think." Like, you have to at least win one. You have to make the playoffs. If you don't make the playoffs, that's an absolute failure.
Yep.
They told me that since the playoff era started, they've had 40 entries, right? 36 times they've made the playoffs. So, I mean, if you don't make the playoffs, that's a huge failure. Yeah. So, I'm confident that we can do that. Even the situation I'm in now, right? Like, we're 20 points out of the cut line, and we haven't really ran that good. So I feel like just going over there naturally, it's going to be a little bit easier to kind of be in the playoffs, but you still have to go perform. So I would say at least a win. Hopefully multiple wins would be awesome. Need to have 15 plus top 10s for sure, 20 plus top 10s, and right around 8 to 12 top 5s. And I think that would be a solid first year for sure.
I'd say that'd be pretty good.
Yeah.
You just don't need to be the 4th best guy.
No.
Well, yeah. But switching gears from that, what are the expectations for the 14 car to finish the year? Because that's a tough spot to be in with your team, and you still have to keep going to the racetrack. So how do you stay focused, and where do you expect to be?
Yeah, I think for us, the last 5 weeks have been just brutal. We went from 20-something points above the cut line to 50-something below, and now we're 25. So, yeah, we just have to try to stay focused. Honestly, since the announcement, I felt like if we could survive the first 5 weeks, we would be okay as far as keeping people. And then I feel like if we can make it past the 5-week mark, we're going to be okay until we get to probably October-ish. And then it's going to get pretty bad, I would say, at the end of the year. But like I was saying earlier, the 14 guys are so good, and we all kind of know the deal, right? So I don't think we have to worry too much about our program. But from a shop standpoint, I think it's going to be hard to get cars to the racetrack at the end of the year.
You're going to have to go in there and bolt them together yourself.
Yeah. The other thing is, I just think that, as we get closer to the season, our tools are going to start getting taken away because the people are going to be going to other teams.
The
and
spigot's getting turned off.
Yeah, they're not going to want the information getting out to other manufacturers and other teams. So as we get closer and closer to the year, the spigot just keeps getting turned closer and closer to off. So, unless we're in the playoffs. If we're in the playoffs and we're battling for, the championship round or whatever, then that spigot's going to be on. But as soon as that doesn't happen, that's when it's going to get turned off. So that's something that's really important for me is, we really need to do everything we can to make the playoffs just so we can keep bringing speed to the racetrack.
Feels like it'd be hard if that spigot gets turned off from a competition standpoint to turn it right back on next year when you go to the 19. So it's you got to do everything you can with the guys that stay there, right? If the guys are staying there, they're going to dig their heels in and be like, we're going out.
Oh yeah,
with 100%. A bang here,
on the shield.
So that's
going
out on the shield, exactly. So that's that's going to be, you can manage. I mean, you'll manage it well, and I think we're all pumped for you.
I appreciate it. Yeah, I'm excited.
One of the good guys getting a great shop. So we wish you, the entire Stacking Pennies crew wishes you good luck for the rest of the year, but also in your future with that 19 car. But first, before we let you go, a little bit of a refresher on the 3 questions you probably answered last time you were in studio. 1 car and 1 track for the rest of your life. What do you go with?
Dirt wing sprint car at Hopstadt, at Tri-State Speedway in Hopstadt, Indiana. And if I had to pick a pavement one, I would say I never got to run the old full-blown Power Cup car, but I would say that at the old Iowa. That'd be a lot.
So just not repave cup, not just
no repave.
No.
The repave for me, I said in the press deal there, and it didn't really get a lot of traction, but I thought it was great. it was like an old ex-girlfriend that you hadn't seen in 10 years, right? Like, you see her 10 years later, it's kind of the same, but it's not near as cool. That was kind of Iowa.
Face is kind of fucked up.
Oh,
like,
gosh.
Like, you see her, and it's like, yeah, she's kind of the same person, but just
age
not,
really hasn't done her well.
Yeah.
And then she gets some cosmetic surgery.
Yeah.
Doesn't really work out. Nose looks a little funky.
Just so you guys know, I thought the repave was great. Thought it raced
I'm
awesome.
sure you did.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know what you guys are about.
Question number 2. What's your most embarrassing moment at the racetrack?
When I won my first sprint car race, I fell off the top of the car. That was embarrassing.
You got up on the wing and fell off?
Well, it was non-wing. I was just standing on the
Oh.
roll cage, and I fell off. Busted my butt.
Yes.
That was embarrassing. I tripped one time getting onto the truck for ride arounds. That's always, everybody's like, ooh, right when you do it.
Everybody's watching you.
Yeah.
Yep. That's a good one. All right. So last question. If I had like the Men in Black pen and zapped all of your memories of your racing career, and you had to keep one, what memory do you keep?
Be a toss-up between the Darlington Xfinity win and the Indy Xfinity win.
Yeah.
Those would be the two. You know, Darlington, for the reason that it made it so special, I'd like to forget that. So I guess I would pick Indy if I had to pick one to keep.
Yeah.
But even that one's hard.
That was in the road course on 90,
That was the road
98,
course,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
That one, it stunk because, like, that's my home track, right?
No, it stunk because we run second.
Yeah,
that's why
true,
it's.
yeah. But, like, that was during COVID, so I wanted Indy. I didn't get to experience it with anybody. Like, my family was literally at a house 10 minutes away.
Dang.
Like,
Yeah.
that sucked.
All right. Well, that's a good and a bad one, I guess. Same thing.
Yeah.
That's all I got, buddy. You've been so gracious with your time. I appreciate the time, and everybody tune into that journey with Chase Briscoe headed to the 19 in 2025. Big stuff going on there. Stay tuned. We're going to break down some Nashville stuff right after this. Chase, have a fantastic day, buddy.
Thank you,
Appreciate
guys. Appreciate it.
All right, here we go. Nashville breakdown after Chase Briscoe announcement interview. I know that was the meat and potatoes, but we can break down a little bit of Nash Vegas. 1.33 concrete D-shaped oval. What's this, the third year? I guess
Third year back.
it is third year.
Always
back.
hotter than Hades.
4
there,
year
too.
back? I think it's 4 year back because we raced the Gen 6 car there. Yeah.
Is it the fourth?
21, 22, 23. Yeah, it's the fourth time
Okay.
there.
Okay.
Yep. So, interesting track.
How is it? It seems narrow to race.
No, it's pretty wide.
It seems like a race is pretty narrow.
It gets wide in the race.
Okay.
So,
I don't know if it's the concrete that makes it look narrower than it is. Seems like it tightens up off the corners pretty good.
it does. It does. It's funky. It drives funky. The concrete relative to the asphalt, I think the tire that Goodyear has to bring for a concrete track is so much stiffer of a construction. The car just behaves completely different with how much turn you have, how much you can really slide the rear. You can't slide the car around on a concrete track.
Really?
Yeah, you'll instantly. I think the slip of a concrete tire is much lower of a point than the asphalt tire. So I haven't really dug into the weeds on prepping this week yet in terms of watching back races and how much lefts are worth, how much rights are worth, but I can promise you this: track position is always worth more than probably anything else. Ross Chastain seems to be one of the better ones there. He had a really good run there in the 42 the first time we went there, and that success has carried over. He was last year's winner, held the guitar in victory lane. Old Ross Chastain. How do you guys generally run there?
We run good. This is where Blaney got his bell rung last year here.
Oh, and the inside fence
the
there.
inside fence. They fixed that since then. I think it seems like every week we're in the top 5, and the way it cycles, we got a shot to win. This place is no different. I think we've run up front here. I haven't looked back, but we've run up front here before. This is an exciting race because it's one of the last pit stop heavy races of the summer. A lot of other places we go: Chicago, Pocono, Indy. Those are could be 2, could be 4, could be stay out track position type days.
Yep.
This is one that we all have circled that we want to go be pretty good at. So I'm excited that we are back in Nashville. Just one race a year. I love going places once a year. and that New Hampshire, it's made New Hampshire better. It makes like if we were going to Nashville twice a year and it wasn't a great race, we'd be pissed off.
That's not the place where you go twice a year though.
Yeah, because it's not Martinsville, Daytona, or Talladega.
Yeah.
There's only 3 places you go twice a year.
I would agree, but I haven't heard very much about the short track at Nashville. Have you seen anything on that? Any updates? What's going on over there?
I don't know much about that. I know it's a kind of a passion project. That's like a Dale
2.0.
Jr. kind of passion project. Would be cool to go to the fairgrounds. But, you know,
as long as they put a new coat of pavement on it before we go.
I don't really know. I haven't done much racing there.
It's pretty sweet.
It seems like the town. It seems like there's a lot of messiness there between the city, the town, the people that live around there, the local bureaucrats. I know it's a place that has produced a lot of great racers, a lot of great races. It's an iconic racetrack. Until they get that figured out, if they get that figured out, you know, Nashville Super Speedway has been a great home for NASCAR and awesome to be in that, you know, in that market.
Yeah.
The only other place I think that's
NASCAR
cool, but I
and Nashville go together. Like
we've oversaturated, but the IndyCar race in the streets there was pretty cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, if
Season
you have an
finale
oval track,
this year.
Yeah, you got an oval track outside of there. It's really that's where we need to be racing, man. Country music, NASCAR racing.
One and the same.
Think Jelly Roll's gonna be there? Probably not.
He was there. Was he at Nashville last year?
He was somewhere. Was he in Texas?
Yeah, he was in Texas. It was hot for a big fella like that.
Dude, Nashville is always one of the hotter races.
Yeah,
just because of where it falls and time of year, it's a warm one. So better be hydrated this weekend.
So also Nashville's a spot of the award ceremony.
Yep.
So you guys got to partake in some festivities because you were the champ last year.
Yep.
Where'd you guys do? You had a couple different ones, right? You had a Penske one, then Blaney had a spot.
Yeah, they had Barstool has a bar there. They had a Barstool one.
What's your favorite spot?
I don't really know. I'm more of a dive bar type of guy, but the place that's above where they have like the NASCAR parties, that bar that's
1230 Club.
That's pretty. That place is pretty
sweet.
Yeah, that's a hard one to beat. It's kind of an exclusive. That's like not just a bar you're gonna go to.
Yeah.
And then I don't know, man. You can just kind of walk down Broadway and find you a good spot where you like to be with some good music and hang out.
A+ people watching.
There's a place at that party last year.
About Tootsie's, man.
No, Duggar and Dale Jr. Is there some place like a
Painter's Alley?
It's like baseball related.
I don't know.
They were like, we gotta go there, and they all went, but we went to bed.
Oh.
But yeah, dive bars.
Okay.
And what's yours?
I'd probably say 1230. I don't venture out very much. We did Casey's bachelor party there several years ago, and we saw the sights.
But you guys like the bachelorette parties? How did you have like all matching shirts?
We got matching shirts.
Did you nerds?
Yeah.
Nerds.
No, there's a sweet picture of Casey eating a hot dog just towed out. That's what I got. That's what I got. A picture of Casey. I still got that shirt too, by the way. I wear it next week.
Is this where you busted your on your scooter growing up, or is that Memphis?
No, it was on my scooter.
That was Nashville.
Yeah.
Oh,
first ever time we were there. I think it was 2001 was the first. I've said this story ad nausea probably on the podcast, but since it's Nashville week, I'll tell it one more time.
Yeah, it says favorite Nashville memory, so I figured we could talk about that.
Oh, this is my least favorite. So the first time we go to Nashville, first time Busch Series cars go to Nashville. So during the summer when we were growing up, we would take a 2-month-long motorhome trip and go all the races, all around. We go to Watkins Glen, Niagara Falls, do the whole thing. So the stop was in Nashville. So we park on like a Wednesday. Not a soul there. But we got the bus hooked up and we're all hanging out. And Casey and I, that was back when Razor scooters were a thing, right? So we had nothing to do. Casey and I'm probably 10, Casey's 7. We get on pit road and we're making a lap on the apron. Then we get up on the banking and we start going. It's banked pretty good for a 10-year-old on a Razor scooter, and we're making runs up and down. So we get down the front straightaway. We get down to turn 1, and we get a little more ballsy every time, and we start straightening it up down the hill, right? At first, you're a nice little gradual. Then you get turned straight down. So I got in the tuck position.
Yeah.
Down the banking.
Aerodynamic. And
when it transitioned from the track to the apron, my back foot hit the brake over the handlebars and landed on my face and slid for 10 feet from my freaking eyebrow to my chin was worn off. And I remember they're sitting there with my feet on the apron, my butt on the racing surface, and just blood dripping down. I'm like, oh boy, this does not feel good. So I just scooter on back to the motorhome, and Dad's sitting there on the couch flipping through channels, and he's like, oh boy, Lise, kid's face is up. So Mom had the great idea of putting liquid Band-Aid on it, which was a terrible idea because it dried to my face, and I had to yank it off.
Oof.
So, pro tip, if your kid scrapes your chin, don't put liquid Band-Aid on it because it freaking hurts. And that's my least favorite Nashville moment. Hopefully we can have a better one this week, rolling down there with the Garner Trucking Camaro this week.
One more great question on here.
What you got?
What's your go-to karaoke song? I thought about this because when we won the Xfinity Championship with Cindric, the last year we won the Owners Championship, we all went to the banquet, and I remember him and Coleman Presley singing karaoke. So, yeah, what is your go-to?
The first thing that pops in my mind is Friends in Low Places.
Yeah, it's low.
But it's low-hanging fruit.
I'm going Sweet Caroline because it gets the crowd into it.
Talk about low-hanging fruit.
Yeah, but it gets the crowd into it.
Yeah, but that defeats the whole purpose of karaoke.
Or I'll do the tequila. Dun 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 dun. Or do you just say that one word? Tequila. I'm not getting up there and singing the whole song.
Why not?
Because I'm not. It's not me, man.
I took you as like, man, I feel like a woman, Shania Twain.
Oh yeah, that's it. That's me.
That'll get the people into it too.
That's it.
All the dudes in there.
The thong song.
Well, somebody's gonna be singing some sort of victory song this weekend. Headed on down to Nashville. What time's that hot rod race? Tune in Sunday, 3:30 p.m. on NBC. Not on USA. We're going straight to network this weekend, boys. Nashville Super Speedway, which is really not a super speedway. It's only 1.33 miles. Let's get it straight. But tune in.
Live action, baby.
Live action. Stacking pennies. Going to Nashville. I don't know. Tune in. Root for the 7 car. Have a great day.
12 car.
Goodbye.
Bye.